Hey Harmonizers, welcome to this video. We are at the Georgia Tip Challenge, which is the Mustang Training Challenge, and this is Meraki's video where I'm going to show you the different footage from him at the show. I already did a video where I kind of did an overview of the experience going to the Georgia Mustang makeover, and this is his handling class. So the handling class has some different maneuvers that we always typically have to show, like forwards and backwards. And so here we are at the first pylon, trotting to our second pylon. And then I'm going to be picking up his feet. And Meraki ended up actually winning this class. They separate into different age groups. So I won for my age group, but I think he finished third overall for all ages with this. And really, I was super darn proud of him. You guys know from watching my videos that it's actually a pretty recent task that I can even walk behind his bum. That only even happened in the last few weeks. So really thrilled of how he handled that. Of course, if I didn't think he was going to handle me walking behind his bum, I could have just gone around the front, but he did super awesome and he stood really quietly for me to do all that. And he did take a couple little steps there as I was getting my rope together, but all in all, I was very happy with that. And he goes into a nice little jog to the next pylon there, looking super darn cute. So here we go into our sideways cue. So you can see I kind of draw him towards me a little bit and go into our little sideways, which he does really nicely and stays relatively straight, and into our 360. And what we're looking for is his back foot to plant. So he's not supposed to move that a whole lot. And he does really well on his haunch turn. And then we're just walking to our last pylon where we're going to stop and do a little backup. And for these things, they're looking for 4 steps. So I wanted to make my steps pretty obvious that we were just doing 4 and walking off. So you can see he did that really well. I'm super proud of him and how far he's come. Like, wow. I can't even believe it because he used to be a horse that I even thought it might be too much to bring him to this competition. And it was a serious option on the table that I might end up having scratched him from the competition. But he ended up being really friggin' amazing. Better than Kaibu actually, because he's more attentive. And I do say that about the skittish horses is that they tend to actually make better partners in the long run if you know what you're doing, because once they know they can trust you, then they're very attentive and focused on you. And so this is going into our trail class where we started a pylon, go over the checkerboard, had to jog, weave through our pylons there, which you see he does really well. And then it's loading into the trailer. And this is always interesting. Some horses load really well, some horses don't. He's been doing a lot of loading onto my trailer. Of course, it's always different going onto somebody else's trailer. But I always try to make it a pretty good experience for my horses, so that way whenever they see a trailer, it's not a super huge big deal. So he loads up onto that pretty good. And this next one I thought was, really simple. Like, kind of why was it even part of this class? Because you just simply pick up the object and put it to the second one. So I thought, well, I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to at least like move it around a little bit and kind of put it up and down over my head, because, it's a really easy task to do. So I thought, show off my horse a little bit more. And then this is our sideways with the pole, which he does pretty nicely as well. He's always been pretty good at moving off of my rhythm or my intent. And there was no different. He did it pretty nicely. So then it's trotting over some poles, which he did pretty good. And then it's getting to our back through chute. So we trot into the 2 poles, but we stop between them, which is a little bit tricky because we just trotted over poles and then now we're trotting between poles. And then into our backup where I let his bum just swing just a little bit too much, where I ended up needing to make just a little polite correction But all in all, pretty well, pretty willing, and generally pretty quiet. And then just finishing up in our last exercise here, which is going to be the 360 turns, or sorry, we ended up doing 180 turns. The goal is to keep their bum in the back spot, or sorry, in the same spot, but it really depends on where you kind of have your horse lined up in the pattern. But overall, he did really well. I forget how he placed in that one. I think pretty good though. He ended up finishing 7th overall, so he did really well. And then I'm going to show you guys his freestyle routine, where of course he derped and didn't put 4 feet on the pedestal or do his mountain that he always does. But anyways, here's a little look for you guys. He was a little bit high on energy going into this. I tried doing a little bit of liberty, and there's no fenced in arena, and he did really well with me, but then got carried away going over the jump and left me. And there's no gates or anything, so we ended up going out and getting some grass, which is like the worst thing because then they get a reward for leaving you. So I opted to keep the neck rope on him and use the neck rope. And then you can see he struggles a little bit with his sideways, which is something that he totally does amazing most of the time. And then of course derped it up a little bit in the arena there, and I put on his little blanket. And then this part here, it's hard not to be frustrated because you know he's done this. We even actually practiced. This was one of the very few obstacles that we practiced before going into the ring, and he's like, what, there's a blanket on the bridge, I've never seen that before. It's like, actually, Meraki, you have seen this before. In fact, you saw it just a couple hours ago. But you know, things are always different when you go in the arena, and so that's why you really have to check it out. So after this obstacle here, we do going through the curtain, which originally was going to be kind of a send through, kind of like a boomerang concept, but because we weren't at liberty, I decided to just kind of keep it more simple. And here, putting on the fly mask, we were getting ready to do the carousel. So I thought the fly mask is good to show because these horses come wild and aren't necessarily good with their faces or heads being touched yet. So I thought that'd be a good skill to show that you can put the fly mask on, and then we go travel around the carousel, which is supposed to kind of simulate the forest a little bit. So it's like we're going around the little forest, and I had to put on the fly mask so that we wouldn't get eaten by the bugs. That's kind of the idea that I was going for there. And then when I put on the life jacket there, is just to try to make it a little bit more clear that this is water or an ocean that we're dealing with, just to kind of be cute and fun for the routine, even though you know, there's a lot of other factors at play as well. So here I go to ask him to get on the pedestal and do 4 feet, and he's like, what, 4 feet on a pedestal? I never done that before. It's like, yes, you have done it before, but as best as I can, I have to try to stay not to get angry because he's not doing this stuff on purpose. It's just kind of where he's at in his training and his experiences that he's had so far. And so we just need a little bit more exposure, really, just to have the comfort in the arena. We do the ball there, and then the jump, the notorious jump that he left me during his Liberty 4. But he does it pretty nicely, and really, overall, he was a really good boy and did a lot of different skills with the jumping and the ball and the tarp and doing the curtain and stuff. And then here I'm just asking him to high five with his hoof, which he was starting to get a little bit stomping at my feet when I wasn't asking for it, so I decided to stop it for a while so that way he would be well behaved. But all in all, he finished 7th overall and won his handling class. So I would love to see your comments. I'm super proud and want to thank you for watching.